Hey everybody, it's Tammy from Wisconsin, and it's Friday. And usually we like to have fun on Friday, but have fun in our emails, send some fun videos out or something. It's just a fun night. But it's extra special tonight in Wisconsin because not only is it Fun Friday, but it's also football night here in Wisconsin. The Packers are playing tonight, so we're pretty excited. It's definitely hard to get to work on the same day the Packers are playing, that's for sure. I was not focused today, but excited about the game, even though it's preseason. We're not used to pro football on a Friday night. I think pretty much it's just high school football. It's reserved for high school football. I mean, that's when all the games are, the Friday night lights type scenario. In Wisconsin, it's definitely about high school football on Friday night. I was even reading an article in today's paper about how some people were upset with the Packers front office for allowing the Packers to play on the same night that it's the first game for the high school players. And they were concerned about the crowds at the high school game versus the Packers game and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, if our kids are still in high school, I think I know how to record the Packer game and do both. Seriously, who doesn't record stuff on TV now? So it's kind of a moot point to me. But anyway, when I was growing up, we certainly didn't have football, pro football on Friday nights. And you didn't even have it on Monday nights back in those days. I mean, I grew up in the 60s. And first memories of football that I had were pretty much that it was the only thing on TV on Sunday afternoons. I mean, it's the only thing that my dad would watch, that's for sure. I mean, back then you only had your three network channels. You had the one that the UHF. Remember the UHF where they were the channels in the teens? That you had to switch the dial. You had VHF or UHF, the choice. And then you had the public, we had Channel 10 around here as our PBS station. So we didn't watch a lot of TV back then, but football definitely was on the TV. And it was kind of funny because it was like, yeah, you had wrestling on at 11 o'clock in the morning. And of course, back then, the pro wrestling is a lot different than it is today. And we had to watch that, and then it was football. So being a girl, it wasn't unusual to think football was stupid. But then I remember the first time that I got to play football in recess. I had three other brothers, older brothers, so I was pretty much a tomboy growing up. I loved any sport, and then when I got to play football for the first time, oh my God, that was just so much fun. And back then, you had the schools didn't have all this nice clay and wood chips or whatever they have on the school playgrounds now. We had blacktop. We played football on blacktop. So scraped up elbows, scraped knees, banged up elbows. That wasn't unusual. My mom saw that, so she wasn't happy I was playing football. So I pretty much got delegated to, when it first started, was hiking the ball. It was just something. Obviously, with three other brothers letting their little sister play with them, they had to be desperate for players, don't you think? So I got to hike the ball, and then when I started proving myself, I could take a hit and stuff like that. I was allowed to play, and but then my mom seeing my knees, which I don't know what the big deal was. My knees were always scraped up. It was just something that happened to me following my brothers around. So I had an arm, pretty much most the average guy. I could match their arm, so I was delegated to quarterback. I mean, do you remember quarterback? You never rushed the quarterback. You counted up to 10 bananas, right? One banana, two banana. So I was a lot safer playing quarterback, and I could get the ball out there. So I think this still pass. What do you think? Hey, what about my jersey tonight? What do you think? Getting kind of old, huh? It's Driver. He is my favorite player for years, and maybe he's retired, but he's still my guy. But anywho, I think I could still throw a football. In fact, there's a few years ago that when the boys were still home, so maybe 5, 10 years ago, there's actually a women's semi-pro league in Wisconsin, but it was in a city, Racine. I don't know if anybody knows where Racine, Wisconsin is. Kenosha area is, so it was about an hour away from here. And about at the time, I said our boys were growing up. I think Griff was in college. They're like, Mom, you should try out. And I'm like, I love to play. I still play softball and stuff like that. But, we're talking playing against 20-year-old women, and I was in my 40s. So maybe it was fear. Maybe I should have got out of my comfort zone and just won and tried out because I still had the arm. Um, and we know because I played softball. So, anywho, that was it. As soon as I started playing football with the guys on recess, I got addicted to football. We played all the time, not just on Friday nights. There was, football on Friday nights. There was football whenever we could in the fall. It was football, and we were playing all the time. So then I was watching football on Sundays, and dating myself, it was the '60s. We had Vince Lombardi, the God, right? Everybody knows Vince Lombardi and all the Packers of the '60s. I mean, they were it. There's a reason why Green Bay is called Title Town. We're proud of our Packers, that's for sure. Well, my favorite player back then was Jerry Kramer. I mean, he was number 65, right guard for the Packers. He was the guy that made the hole, that blocked for Bart Starr to get into the end zone to win the infamous Ice Bowl. So he was my favorite. I think probably too because he came out with a book. I think I was like I know it was in 5th grade. He came out with a book. It was called Instant Replay, and it was pretty much about his life in football, what it was like to be a Packer. He grew up in Montana, what it was like to be a kid in Montana, and things that happened to him. A lot of wild stuff. And eventually, Packers, the end of the '60s, Barty was gone. Football wasn't that good in Wisconsin for a while there. The '70s was kind of ugly for us, but we all know we got Brett Favre. But I was 19, and I got to meet Jerry Kramer. Now that's a story I'm going to save for next week. You have to come back, watch our video, because I know I said it yesterday, and I want to say it every day. I appreciate everybody watching our videos. We're having a good time making it, and I hope you're enjoying it, so leave your comments below. But anywho, next week I'll tell you this story. When I met Jerry Kramer, had a drink with Jerry Kramer, and I'm not going to leak out too much, but I know when I went to work the next Monday morning, I looked at everybody and said, "You're not going to believe what happened to me." So I'm going to leave it there. I'm getting excited. Packers start in about an hour. I think we'll probably have pre-games. And so I got to get myself ready for some football on Friday night. And so every Friday from now on, we're gonna still have our fun, and we're going to talk football. So make sure you come back and visit us at least on Fridays. Talk to you later. Have a great one, and hope your team wins this weekend. Only if they're not playing the Packers.